Sunday, October 23, 2011. This is a Mercedes diesel guy, and this is my 1972 Mercedes-Benz 220 diesel. The first thing which I'm going to do today is a valve adjustment. And basically the procedure for that, I'll get into details momentarily. You have to reach down from the bottom of the engine and basically crank it by hand with a 27mm socket, like you see here, on the crankshaft pulley bolt. I'm also, before I get started, I'm going to have to pop off the valve cover here, which isn't too bad. It looks like there's 3 bolts holding it on. 1, 2, 3. And it looks like I'm also very likely going to have to unbolt this this bracket here from the valve cover. So I'm going to get to doing this first, then I'll show you what I do from there. Anyhow, I got the bolts out, and I kind of wiggled the valve cover back and forth just very lightly to break it loose. And from there, I just lift it straight out. And I already have a new gasket all ready to go. It's highly recommended that you use a new gasket after this job. This one didn't really seem to be leaking, but from what I hear, more often than not, they will leak if reused. These here are my valve adjusting wrenches. And basically you need these two because there's 2 nuts in there, a lock nut and an adjuster. And I believe the adjuster is the one on the actually I think the lock nut is the one on the bottom. All intake valves are set to 0.004 inches, and all exhaust valves are set to 0.012 to 0.013 inches. This is the feeler gauge I'm going to use. And that's the setting right here for intake valves. And that's the one for exhaust valves. Basically, you want to insert the feeler gauge between the cam lobe and the adjusting nut. And basically you want to be able to get it in there and remove it with a slight bit of drag on the gauge. And as I suspected, I can't get the gauge in there at all. Like I said, I couldn't even get the gauge in there at all, so I've got to open up the space there to that clearance and just reset all the valves. Like I said, the first exhaust valve was pretty close. Obviously this intake valve is off, so I'm going to reset these. And I already have the new valve cover gasket there pressed onto the valve cover. There's no adhesive, no sealant or anything. You just pull the old one off and press the new one on. So that is ready to go. So I'm going to continue on with the job here. Okay, I'm done adjusting the valves, and didn't take all that long, definitely under 2 hours. I would say probably closer to 1 hour. As I had suspected, the intake valves were most of the problem. The exhaust valves were all pretty close. In fact, the one furthest back to the firewall didn't require adjustment at all. So, just want to tell you the last tip I can give you here is to make sure you take that wrench off the crank before you go any further at all. You don't want this. You don't want to forget about the wrench and then have it flopping around when you try to start the car. Okay, I'm done, and I'm just about out of battery. Everything's all back together, so I'm going to get back to the car probably next weekend. So have a good one. Thanks for watching.